Wow, it surprisingly fits even a shield woman. Hey guys, Ken here from the Wampon's Armory, and I finally got myself on one of these Visby gauntlets. Visby, I think. In any case, so these were actually second-handed, and I had to buy it with my own money. The good thing is that the seller was very generous and selling these to me at half the cost, which of course I compensated by selling something else. But in any case, man, these are so comfy. I've been trying to build my late 14th century to early 15th century armor, and I was like, well, I need some thingies, and I want something a little bit more nimble. And because the rest of my armor is actually very split looking, so I kind of figured that one of these would fit just fine. And the more I look into it, is that these historical contexts, we're gonna find these at the Battle of Visby. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. That's just me. Anyways, so we're gonna find many examples like these in the gravesite of, well, the Battle of Visby, which is 1362, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1360, late 14th century. But what happened is that there's a bunch of soldiers that just perished in this war, unfortunately. And, well, it got really gruesome. Many of them got their legs hacked off, their head caved in. Someone actually got, in a skull fragment that you see, they actually took 20 shots to the head. Man, that's gruesome. But in any case, today we're talking about the armor, not about the history, because I forgot half those already. But in any case, so these gauntlets were found in a gravesite, and they were really well preserved as to something that's about 600 years old. And the thing that why they're on the ground is because back then they were already seen as outdated armor. So when the winning army actually defeated these army who had these burial sites, they kind of figured that it's not worth looting. So it means that just because these existed in the late 1360s, it doesn't mean that they were the best armor of 1360, to the point where they were not even bothered looting it. So imagine you're playing video games, someone actually explode out equipment for you to pick up and you didn't even bother picking up. That's kind of thing. So there's a chance that these were actually way earlier, that at that point plate armor was so advanced that these were just your grandfather's outdated armor. So there's a chance that they might not fit with my armor, but you know what? I really like these. These are really, really comfy. Now, since I got these second-handed, it's kind of hard to identify exactly where they came from. But the closest example that I find, I literally had to match like rivets by rivets, count every plate in the back of the hand, just so I can see which company made these. And of course, after scourge the internet, I find that they were made by SPQR. Now it's an acronym in Roman, and I'm not going to butcher the names, very, very sorry. But in that case, you can find them on Celtic Web Merchant, and they are now being listed at 377, I believe that's euros. So a pair like these, shipped, tax, and all that, they're probably going to run you to about 600 to 700 Canadian kind of thing, so they are pretty pricey. But there's a lot of work to be done to these, because if we look closely into it, they are segmented plates. Every one of these are riveted into the back leather itself before they get sewn onto the actual inner glove. Now these gloves are too big for me, so I had to take these off, put a thinner glove on there so the plate would actually sit closer to your finger. But if we take a bit more of a closer look on the inside, my gosh, even the inside has leather, and the glove is really well sewn into the back of hand. So then you can easily jam your hand into one of these and off you go. Now, I've already taken these into a sparring match because I was extremely curious. And when I was holding these, they were advertised as 1.5 millimeter in steel. And the weight is supposed to be 1,550 grams for the pair. Mine came in at 1,374 grams, meaning that I'm kind of short by about 200 grams. But what does it mean? Does it mean that my metal is a little bit too thin? And so when I took a bit of a measurement to them, the actual plate itself, they look to be about only a millimeter rather than 1.5 millimeter. Now, perhaps the one that's being sold in Celtic Web merchant. It's actually a later model, and I got the earlier model because these have been sitting in probably the original seller for quite a bit, but they were brand new when I got these. So the original seller, thank you so much for selling these to me at a perfectly good price and good condition. But it also means that when you buy an older version, maybe you get mine at 18 gauge steel where they should be at 16 gauge. Now, of course, being at 16 gauge, they're going to be heavier, but at least they would be a little bit better in sparring, because if you get these ones where they're 1 millimeter thick in steel, please don't spar with these. Like, technically you can. Now, if you're doing very light control work, you can still protect your finger from some hits, and they're still better than most Kevlar glove that HEMA World has. Even if I get myself smacked into the hand like this with this, now this is the Heartbreaker chunky army sword, and I protect my finger really well. You feel a bit of a sting, but they're really good actually. But still, just in case, don't risk it. If you get a really bad shot into especially the top of the finger right here, where it is just between the plate and the leather, you're not gonna have a good time. However, where they really shine in the HEMA market and the reenactment market is that if you just use them for light play, especially half swording, playing with the dagger, or maybe just some light spear work and some light pole axe work with the lash, they are perfectly fine. But remember, not full spar. You will break your finger in these if you go full spar in steel weapon. If you use synthetic, if you use foam sword, no problem at all. Then they are extremely light. I feel like I'm just wearing normal glove. So, that being said, now we know what they're good for and what they're not really good for. But hey, you know what? I can still wear these and they're quite comfy. And of course, with an arming sword, oh my god, they're so comfy to hold. Like, I just really like it. The dexterity, it's fantastic. Like, wearing this does not feel like I'm wearing metal gauntlet. I just feel like I'm wearing like a normal HEMA glove, and that's insane. And the weight of it is just, it's like super light. It's crazy. So, of course, it's a little bit heavier than the normal sports fencing glove if you have one, but hey, these are metal inside. So, arming sword wise, they are fantastic in control. And of course, the question being is that can you hold a sizer? Sorry, I'm using a left-handed sizer, but yeah, you can put your finger in it, no problem at all, and they fit really well. Now, given that this is a HEMA sizer, so the ring is a little bit bigger. If your ring is a little bit small on the top, you can still hold it a little bit more to the back end, and you can still rest your finger on it, no problem at all. So for HEMA use, if you do light sizer, sure, go for it. But remember, no full sparring, because if you take that shot on top of your finger, especially on top of your Krillin, not a good time. But here's where these one I think truly shines. It's in a basket hilt sword. When we're using basket hilt sword, the issue is that, well, you need a light glove to fit into your basket, and so your wrist is extremely exposed. If I'm not wearing gloves and I put my hand into one of these, where they would have done it kind of back then, sure, they're fantastic because the cage protects everything. But remember, all these little points, people can easily stab through them. And God forbid, if your cage caved in, that cage will still hit your finger, and it's not going to be a great time. And the worst part is that what if you are in a low guard or something like that, right? And it gets hit right on top of your thumb and your wrist. I took that shot many times, and they're not a good time at all. So, people have been experimenting with demi gauntlets, and I think they're great. They came a long way, and I have many pair of demi gauntlets that even Aegis Armory has made, and they're hush. But in any case, they're quite cool. However, these ones, because they're so compact, and with the finger actually being in metal, you don't have to worry about building a new liner. Now, I have to say, there has been tournaments where I went that they forcefully made me remove the liner because it was 20 grams too heavy. 20 grams too heavy to risk my finger from getting stabbed. What kind of tournament is that? But hey, you know what? I didn't make the rules set. So, if you cannot add 20 grams into your sword, might as well add that gram into your hand, because they didn't restrict your gauntlet. Wait, now didn't it? Haha. Anyways, so this one is a historically made shield only held by Deltin Favio. So these are copy from museum, meaning that they're not sportified for HEMA use. So the cage size is small as possible as historically done. Whereas HEMA cage are a lot bigger because you want to fit a glove into it. So if it fits into this, it will fit into everything else on the HEMA market for a thin glove. And of course, if you see a little teaser at the beginning, you know they're gonna fit. So I'm gonna put my hand right into it and it goes in practically no problem at all. Put my finger in, it's just nested in so well. And if you look at the movement, it's just like, it's almost as if I'm not wearing a glove at all. It's just fantastic. I get full range of movement, outside, inside, up and down. Like it's just, if I can do a tremezone, sorry, low roof, tremezone, imbrocata, it's just so fantastic. So, if you ever got yourself a pair of these Visby gauntlets and you want to use for HEMA use, where historically accuracy, it's kind of not as stressed as harnish factoring, you might as well get yourself one of these, because if you have one of these and you take that nasty shot to your wrist, at least there is a lot of metal on there to protect you. Now given, if you take a really bad shot to right at the wrist bone, which is right here, I can still feel it. But compared to many other gloves where they barely have any protection, I'd rather have a bit of a 18 gauge steel protecting my wrist compared to none. So, where does that take us? These are absolutely freaking-tastic for LARP. I'm just so happy with them for reenactment as well. And the kicker is that because they're just so well made, that they are great for HEMA use as well, with, of course, a hilled cage. And of course, if you have an open hill, you can still use it as long as you trust your sparring partner to be quite safe. And of course, with a bit of footage that we saw, my cable is moving. So, with a bit of footage that it's right here where my friend Thomas is just getting smacked right on top of the hand. Now, he has actually bravely tested into the weakest part of the glove, which is taking a shot right to the side, right here, between the fingers. Brave of him to do that. Yeah, to be honest, any glove taking a hit right in the middle, right in your glove, that's gonna suck. But if you take it right here, where all four of your finger plate are there, you're not gonna feel much. Like I would say, as an equivalent, these actually have the similar protectiveness as the Black Prince by HF Armory. Well, of course, the difference that the Black Prince is, yeah, I got mine for about 500 and these at a regular price at about 600, given most of these are actually shipping and handling. So, if you're looking for HEMA gauntlets that are really, really good and you score these at a really good deal, go for it. It's really, really good, but be careful. There are some pros and cons to it where it's just so hard to match the modern HEMA glove. Let's say for another, you can actually save yourself $100 if you buy these at regular price to get yourself Black Prince. They are way better. However, come on, when you see someone wearing this is like the coolest fashion show ever. Like, this is just awesome. So, next, I'm going to be taking the glove off after I worn these a little bit. I want to paint the back in purple and of course give myself a yellow glove because these are really not my color style. And the second con to these is if you are using them for reenactment, light play, light harness factoring, grappling, these are fantastic. Like I would just, that's why I got these. I want to use something nice and nimble. I can use it and I don't have to feel like I can't even pick up my longsword on the ground. These are great. But what happened is that if you have to compare these two, as I mentioned, HEMA gauntlet, they are definitely heavier. They're like twice the weight. If you want that speed and agility in a HEMA glove that you can trust, these are definitely not it. But these are historical gauntlets where back then you can kind of trade off a bit of defense for mobility. You have to worry about that because back then in the War of Visby, they kind of not wear leg armor for the trade-off of, well, mobility, and that's why a lot of people got their legs chopped off. So take that as a caveat when you're buying armor. They don't protect everything, they protect enough for what you need to get your job done. And does these get your job done? Well, you kind of have to wade into it. So if you have questions about these gauntlets, put a comment down below. I'll be extremely happy to answer anything. about these gauntlet. And if you have questions about these gauntlet, I'm actually happy to test these out. As long as you don't tell me to take a steel pole axe to it, then actually, you know what? If you tell me to take a steel pole axe to it, I'm gonna probably still do it in a controlled, safe manner. Because I still have work on Monday. So thank you again for watching this video. It's Ken here from One Punch Armor. If you are liking my video, please give me a like and give me a subscribe. That is awesome. But what I like the most is that if you comment down below, because I always enjoy a good conversation. And of course, if you ever want to spar with me and you're curious about these or every other thing that I have, send me a message. You know I will happily bring them to you and let you handle my swords, my armor, and everything else. Hell, if you want me to put you in my suit of armor or one of my many suits of armor, happy to. We're friends. Okay, until next time, see ya.